Okay, good evening, everyone. At this time, we'd like to start the 6 o'clock work session for July 29th. And the supervisor is not going to be here this evening. He is very fortunate to be celebrating a birthday. And if he wants to announce how old he is, and I'll let him do that. So everybody stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you that are watching, I had a few residents that they weren't complaining, just concerned that it was very difficult to hear with our masks. So if you folks are comfortable when you're talking to take your mask off, that's fine. I'm gonna do so just to accommodate the folks that have mentioned that to me. I spoke with Connor earlier. Steve Bremer, our building inspector, is here. Normally doesn't attend a work session. He attends the public meetings. But this evening, he has a couple issues that he would like to go over. He has a commitment this evening, so we're going to let him go first, and then he would be excused from the meeting. Steve?
Thank you, Gene. I found out the other day that our 2006 pickup, the frame is rotted out on it, so it will not pass inspection this August. So come September 1st, it'll be out of commission. So I'm going to need some sort of vehicle to replace that with. So I've done some research on new vehicles off the state bid through Ford. So I don't know if we can do that or not. As far as purchasing a vehicle.
Have you gotten a price on those?
Well, if I replace with the same vehicle I'm using, it's $24,970. Ford changed the body style on the Escapes, so they're a lot more expensive this year. But they also have another model, it's called the EcoSport. Ford is getting large rebates on them. It's $18,500. We test drove one today. It would work with the department.
Is that an electric vehicle?
No, it's a gas engine. It's a four-wheel drive SUV. It's just a smaller version of the Escape.
Okay. Do you have enough time that we could wait till next Wednesday when Pat's here, and then the three of us will vote, discuss and vote on it?
Absolutely. Like I said, the inspection is going to take at the end of August.
Okay.
It's going to, after that, the vehicle should be driven.
And you have money in the budget?
I do not. That's the problem. I have some money, but not enough to cover it.
Okay. And what kind of a trade-in would we get with that vehicle?
I would have to put it out for auction. I probably would get $2,500 for it.
Okay. All right. So if you like the EcoSport, how much do you have for your budget?
I have an addition. I have $8,000 left in my contingency budget, and then I have another $2,000 from the vehicle I sold last year.
Okay, so I have 10,000, and if you get 2,000 for this one, it's 12,000. You said it was what, 18,900?
18, yeah.
Okay, so 19,000. So you're about 7,000 short.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So Connor has the information. I have it. Pat said he's going to look at this meeting tomorrow, and so he'll have that information, and then we'll decide what we can do next week.
Okay.
And you had one other item?
Yes. The emergency management is telling me that they want to purchase my pickup truck from me. I share it with them, the emergency management truck. I just want to make sure if the board does agree to allow this to happen, that I'm given enough money to purchase a new vehicle. The number of $20,000 was being thrown around, but the vehicle I have is worth considerably more than that. So I don't want to go backwards on the vehicle. Building department paid a decent amount of money for this years ago.
So, what would you want, if we transferred over to that department, what would you want for that?
Let's see. If I was to trade it in today, it's worth $24,000. So
Okay.
I would at least like to trade it
And then what would a new one cost you?
I would then get an Escape, which would be $24,900, so it cost me $900.
Okay, so $25,000.
Right.
I think I know the answer to these questions, but I want to ask them so that everybody else has a chance to hear it. This emergency vehicle, if there's something illegal going on or an accident, we have the police department. If that, and we have, if there's injuries, we have EMS. If that vehicle is on fire or a house is on fire, an establishment is on fire, we have the police department.
Correct.
So the emergency management vehicle, we don't have torrential rains with mudslides and so on, so it's really only during maybe a snowstorm.
Snow event or any type of emergency.
And those types of events, we know in advance that they're coming. And you would be willing to allow emergency management to use your vehicle?
I already share it with them now, so
Okay.
whenever it's at their disposal, whenever they need it.
Okay.
They were looking to completely bring it over to their department. So,
All right. Okay. And the reason I ask those questions is because so that Connor could hear the answers and then Pat will hear them when he listens to the test.
okay.
Okay. Anything else, Steve?
That was all.
Okay. You're welcome to go, and I hope you enjoy whatever commitment you have.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. We're not gonna go around the room like we used to go upstairs because we're all set different, so we'll just go this way. And Fred, would you please?
Okay, at Highway, we have obviously finished paving all our roads. We're in the final phase of slow packs for driveways on finishing up on Metzger, and then we just got a little bit on Birch Run and Locust, which are two other streets that we did. So barring anything foreseen in the weather, I'm anticipating that we'll probably be finished here by the end of the week with that, so that'll button up all the paving items we had. We are also finishing up sweeping the roads. I anticipate that also should be done by the end of the week, getting around the entire town. And last, we got into, once we finished the bulk of the paving, we started on drainage work. And we're working on some of the bigger drainage areas. We had a situation on Amelia and Amanda. There's a sinkhole that formed, and we got some major problems there. It appears we got some assistance from Andy Slotman to run a camera down the pipe. It's 24-inch pipe, but it appears that we got about 360 feet to 24-inch that's all rotted out. Now that isn't as old area, but for whatever reason, that happened.
How
So-
deep is it, Fred?
In this particular case, we've got some depths of starting at about approximately 8 foot for storm, and then coming up to about 4. So.
Are there any manholes involved?
We've got well, what's gonna happen is there's gonna have to be sections of curb taken out, and so I just got the chance to talk to Wayne a little bit about it. We've got to put our heads together because that kind of depth of 8, we don't have the shoring, and especially on the road, into the road, we would have to step it back, and we would be then going way into the road, as opposed to putting the shoring boxes down for depth 8,
The road's in pretty good shape, depending
road's
on the
in good
videos, and the curbing is in good shape. Depending on the videos, it's a reline candidate. It's not one we can piggyback with our sewer, because our sewer contract will only go up to 21 inch. It's a 24-inch pipe, so it would have to be something we'd have to put out separately, but it's definitely something that we're gonna wanna investigate as an option, because I think this would be a good candidate for that.
Okay, when does Lexington do?
Next week.
Next week. Okay, can we see who the low bidder is on that? And would it be possible for him to do some repairs or replacement, or?
You just do an informal bid. You better have to do a totally informal,
It's almost
separate
like an
bid.
emergency bid,
Yeah.
see what we can come up with.
Yeah.
with the
And we could,
equipment.
yeah.
Well, speaking of emergency, could we piggyback on the state, because they have emergency bid contractors for various things, and I know they have them for drainage.
Yeah, I'll check into that. That was.
Yes, they already have an established price, and they already have an established contractor that does that.
I'll check into that, so see if we can, that be another option.
Yeah. Okay. And then, Fred, did you have a chance to get over to that ditch in Ron?
No, unfortunately not, because we once we got done with another project, we got over to Amelia Manor, and we've been saddled there, so I'm hoping to get it there this coming week for sure.
This coming week?
With a, yeah, so then I can take it off of there, because that's what we had.
Thank you, Fred, appreciate it. I'm sure Judy will appreciate that too.
And that's it.
Wait, just before we move on, I am not an engineer and I don't pretend to be. Just for the benefit of me and the people at home and Chris and James or whatever, how would the public or the businesses in that area be affected by that control at all?
It shouldn't be too bad if we go down trench boxes. You know, there'll be some less, we'll have to move the traffic over on the road, but it's, you know, quote unquote, not the busiest time of the year right now, if you will. And the other thing is so we want to get on it pretty quick so that it'd be minimum in terms of the traffic.
Now, Fred, is the road wide enough where you could have 2 lanes, one in each direction, or would you have to use a flag man with a stop sign?
I think we should be able to get, move it over enough so that we could have 1 lane each.
Okay.
It appears to be that.
That's it? Chief?
Good evening. So, our police department with several other police departments across New York State are having a little scavenger hunt. There are a number of rubber ducks that are going to be set up in Yates Park, and it's a little scavenger hunt. The people are supposed to take a picture of the ducks. They're not supposed to take the ducks, and just a little fun thing. I'll pass out a flyer about it, but it's something fun, community policing work that Kristen Mazer got involved in. It's a good little project. We had another case of a large crowd at a alleged Airbnb this past weekend. We had to break up like we did about a month ago over on Abbott Road. This was on Armour Duels. The owner claims it was not rented as an Airbnb, but she does rent it as an Airbnb. So we broke up the party, but it was definitely an issue. We had to have several police departments come help us because there was about 150 to 200 people there. So that was fun. This is a question for John. Our uniform bid is expired. We should be able to piggyback off of like Buffalo PD's or the sheriff's uniform bid, shouldn't we?
Yes.
Okay, good. We'll get much better pricing if we piggyback off of Buffalo's, who has 600 officers, compared to if we bid it out ourselves. Lieutenant promotion. Now that we've got our replacements hired, it's time to look at going forward with filling Lieutenant Ray's position. I just wanted to make sure the board was okay with that before we advertise that with the guys.
Let's see, Pat's not here, you should have some input. Is it something we can wait till next week, or would you like to have?
Well, maybe after he reviews the,
Okay.
maybe we could do an email chain so that we
That'd be fine.
Would that be fine? Okay. Next item, stadium vendors. Are we, Remy, I know they're starting to come in, what do you think? Do we do a resolution like we did with the parking lots, the commercial parking lots?
Going to refer half of that question to John. But In this climate, I'm not sure we should be doing that. You know, we basically have a ban on stadium parking. I think it just encourages problems in that area if we don't have a ban on the vendors' permits.
Well, I kind of agree, because if there's not gonna be a crowd at the stadium, Abbott Road's not gonna be closed off. So if vendors are, you know, set up at various parking lots or businesses, you know, we could create a traffic issue that, you know, we really shouldn't have, but I thought I'd bring it up to the board to see what they thought about it.
But offhand, off the top of my head, that's my feeling on it. We're gonna talk about the updated parking, right, when we get to you, okay?
If there are no fans allowed in the stadium, what's the purpose of having those vendors?
I don't know, I just know there was at least one application that came in, maybe these vendors are thinking that people are still gonna come to the area like we've talked about to tailgate. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't really know what their mindset is on this, but I personally think it's probably not a good idea unless we're gonna have fans to issue vendor permits.
It could also be a thing where they could just be doing the paperwork of getting the permit and now in hopes that there will be fans or something. I don't know.
That could be, maybe we look at something like, we'll issue permits, but they're only good for when there's a stadium event with fans.
And then your regular patrol during the course of a game would swing by there, and if there's any vendors, then we.
Absolutely, because they're not permitted if there's not fans.
You're gonna run into the issue though, we collect the money up front, and if it turns out there aren't any games with fans, then we probably would have to go through the process of refunding that. I mean, we could put the thing in that says no refunds, but that seems a little arbitrary if there ends up being no fans.
Especially in this economy.
Yeah, so.
So we could make it as simple as no vendors until there's fans in the stadium.
Yeah, what we did with the parking lots was by resolution temporarily suspend the issuance of permits. We could do the same thing here.
Okay.
You know, just initially that's where I'm at, but we'll have a week to think about it. Okay, anything else, Chief?
Yep, we had a case where we got a phone call, actually we got a 911 phone call from a bank. The patron who had been on the phone with the bank, the caller from the bank said that the patron had started suffering some sort of medical event. She gave his address, we went, we actually checked license, we checked registration because nobody was answering the door. So his license and registration was still registered at that address, but it turns out he had sold the house about a month ago and is down in North Carolina now. So our officers kicked in the door only to discover nobody there. The homeowner would like to be recuperated for his loss, which I've agreed to. He's got to replace the whole man door on the garage. He's got an estimate of $895 here, which we're going to cover the cost for it. I think it's only right. Just wanted to make the board aware of that. The canines training at Green Lake, I talked to Linda Sherry about that. They would still like to use the lake for 2 days, the 17th and 18th. There'll be a couple boats out there only with electric motors. If the board's okay with that, otherwise she'll have to look for another venue.
What were the dates again, sorry?
17th and 18th of August. The swimming would still be available at the park, they just would not have kayakers out there. So.
We'll decide on that next week.
Okay. Very good.
The kids might like it.
It's fun. A lot of people like to watch it. It is a good thing for people to watch. The governor's traffic safety grant is designated as the the week of August 8th through 12th is Speed Awareness Week, so we will be stepping up patrols. We'll be using some of our grant overtime money to get out there and really make people aware of speeding, just so you're aware of that. And then you probably saw in the news, people are getting these seed packages delivered from, they believe, China. I don't have any guidance from the state yet, but I just want to make people aware of the fact that you get these, do not plant them, but also do not throw them in the garbage. We don't need them showing up in landfills. The state's going to come out with some sort of guidance on how we dispose of these. But
Certainly do not open.
do not open them, correct. So just want to make people aware of that, and hopefully by next week we'll have some sort of formal procedure of what to do. I don't know of any that we've gotten locally, but there's been some in Rochester and other areas of the state that have been showing up. So, that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Wait.
Good evening. We did receive the new refrigerator for the Community Activity Center. The old one we're listing as surplus on auction, as the board approved at the previous meeting. We are working on developing and finalizing the scope of work with GHD regarding the district consolidation. Should be able to move that forward in the next town board meeting. Prescriptive event we talked about with John Bailey. Executive session also for another version of that regarding a project and a possible issue with that. We're looking to do the sewer water, highway building and animal control closeout building, or the building product next week at the town board meeting. So we're all wrapped up with that. We did final inspection. We're all set. We also have 2 vehicles, 2 trucks. One of them will not pass inspection. One of them passed inspection, but they said don't bring it back again because it will not. So we are looking into also purchasing. We do have that money in our budget because we basically planned on doing that this year anyhow. We have some trucks that are rolled.
Just because we have it in the budget doesn't mean we need to spend it, so.
Yeah, well, we are short vehicles now,
I'm
so, yeah.
not saying that. What needs to be done for that vehicle that did not pass inspection? Why did it not pass inspection?
They're bad. For everything rotten-wise, frame-wise. One of them is just totally rust-rotten-wise. I'll have to give you a detailed report on that.
Because that's what we're gonna need in order to say, okay.
Okay. Let's see, we did a meeting regarding the employee issues and that, so we're moving ahead with that. Amelia, Amanda, I did put a memo to the board regarding that. We'll proceed that with, a possible lining in that, just looking to get guidance on that, and also that we have a funding issue for that. I don't know where we're going to pull the funding from, but we'll know. But as we get into that, we'll have a better idea of the cost factor involved with that. Let's see, I know I have 2 executive sessions, 1 personnel and 1 contractual. Also did a memo regarding the Rails to Trails map. I know Connor was asking regarding that. That's basically pretty self-explanatory. Gives you all the details of what we own, what we have sewer easement map-wise, just drainage map-wise, sewer-wise, sanitary sewer-wise that is, and what we own town parkland.
Just to confirm, so it looks like the blue is probably on the other side.
Pardon?
If you have it in front of you.
Yes.
The orange looks like probably owned easement, correct?
Actually, no. Orange is right-of-ways, future access right-of-ways. They're called paper streets. Sometimes there is improvements on them too, a part of them.
And then the blue and green are what?
The blue is drainage, storm drainage property that we own. The black within the blue or anywhere else is either paved areas, paved maintenance access roads, or maintenance stone maintenance roads going in. The green is recreation land.
So then everything in green is publicly accessible, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
But it's publicly accessible, but not by going through somebody's private property.
Correct.
Okay.
The green lines are also sanitary sewer easements, so there's some of those in there as well. And the blue lines would be drainage easements.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else?
Did you get an email from CNS? They're doing bridge applications for bridge jobs. There's no cost factor to it, or no cost involved, I should say. But there's some opportunities that they're working with for bridge reconstruction and grants going after them, and they'll assist us with that process. We have Henning Drive Bridge and Drought Bridge, which are in poor condition. They're basically candidates for that. I'd like to pursue that with them to see what they can develop. They seem to have a very good understanding of that application process.
What is the cost and what is our obligation?
There's no obligation. It's a grant application. I do not know what the match is. I do know in the previous projects and that we've done with grants like that, they could literally pay for the whole bridge. So there could be no cost to us, and there's no cost for them to start to work with us. There might be, if there's any kind of committal, I'll bring that to the board. Phone training. I had 2 guys that were off during the last 2 days for phone training, and I know I missed it because we have too much other work going on. Is there going to be additional phone training? Do you know of anybody?
If you need it, we can arrange for it.
Okay, I know. We at least have 3 people that need it, possibly more. We couldn't verify that today. I don't think our field guys came in for that.
Okay.
So,
Paul, I went to their website you sent me, and it was self-explanatory.
Okay.
It was worth it.
Yeah, there's a short 15-minute video that it's basically the same thing.
okay, yeah, whatever.
If,
Yeah, whatever.
If that's not suitable enough for you guys, then we can arrange for live training as well.
If it's good enough, I'm sure. And we did get, again, a lot of our people did get it, so I'm sure we can learn off of them too. But
Sure.
okay. And that's all I had.
Thank you, Wayne. John?
First, Councilman, you asked me to investigate the status of the consolidation of stormwater districts. The last meeting we had was February 19th, and outside counsel gave us the first resolution to start that process, but we needed information on the cost of accounting services and engineering services. We got the accounting service projection, but we're waiting on the engineering.
Wayne, when can you get that?
Next week. That's what I'm developing with the scope of work with GHD.
Okay, and as a result of the change in legislation about access to police department records, our police department received a number of FOIL requests. We reviewed them with Jim Domikowski, the labor attorney, and we got direction from him, and we're in the process of responding to the ones that we presently have. Next, Ramey Orfeo and I are almost completed the proper legislation for permanent prohibition of bus parking at stadium satellite lots. And I'll save number 4 for the last. Number 5, we had been speaking about changing the time frame for building permits. If indeed you're going to go ahead with that, that has to be a local law. And I would need the information as to how that local law is going to be changed. The question is whether or not you want to proceed with a change. Okay, and the last thing is the new assessor asked me to help him understand our definition of a subdivision. And in our case, the local code says a subdivision must be filed for the 5th lot out of a greater lot. The state law requires that you file a subdivision for the 5th lot out of a greater lot within a 3-year period. The difference is that with ours, every lot is the 5th lot out of some greater lot, just because. You know, if there was a farm on Cole Road, somebody wanted to build a house on it, and wanted to carve a single lot out of that farm, that lot is the 5th lot out of some other lot in a whole line of possessory interests.
Really?
Oh, yeah, you know, this is the Johnson farm. Johnson Farm was divided into 3 in 1935, and they sold 1 lot for a house. And in 1945, and whenever the 5th lot comes out, that's the 5th lot.
John, I think our code starts with 1958.
Yes, yeah, yeah, I believe it's a tax map at that point is when they
Tax
established.
map from 58.
Well, in any event, the assessor asked me to investigate it, and he asked me to recommend that we adopt the state code. That is the 5th lot out of a greater lot within a 3-year period.
So after 3 years, then it's not a 5th lot.
That's correct.
And what's the pros and cons?
Pros and cons of that is you're
In
gonna,
other words, why is the assessor asking?
I think his question relates to 1958. At least that's a cutoff date, but the records going back that far are somewhat sketchy.
I'm not sure.
I guess that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
So why is it important to the assessor?
You'd have to ask him. He asked me to look up the law, but apparently he was struggling with it.
We get a lot of what we call one-lot subdivisions, but it's a way for the town to maintain a certain order in development. So you make sure that they have appropriate access. Gene, you went through this dozens of times probably in your tenure on the planning board, but you make sure they have appropriate access. We make sure that most of these lots that come in require septic systems, so we're making sure that they can actually put a septic system in there. Some of them try and do cross easements for driveways. We try to discourage that. So there's a lot of technical things that we do, and this is the first I've seen it. Stan hadn't discussed this with me, but I certainly would like to take a closer look at it before I weigh in one way or the other. But the system that we have helps us control growth, which I think is important.
Ramey, when you look into that, would you mind asking the assessor his reason for going with changing what we have and going with the state department?
Okay.
And then decide as soon as we get the information.
Okay.
John, are you done?
I'm done, yeah.
Okay. So we need to act on those building permits that we talked about.
Just make a decision.
Yeah, okay, so let's just make sure it's on the agenda next week.
I'll carry it forward.
Okay. Randy?
Yesterday morning, I attended the Tree Conservancy Committee, of which I'm a member. Connor was kind enough to come and chat with us.
It did not bring coffee.
Well,
Next time I will.
we'll talk about that. The new guy's always supposed to bring coffee. Someone,
You didn't get the memo?
No, I didn't.
Fred and I were sorely disappointed in no coffee.
Next time it'll be coffee and donuts.
that up.
No, I'll get in front of it now.
Well, you gotta make up and bring donuts.
It was the second point I was going to make here, so you got in front of it. But one of the things that we've been working on for the last year is, you're familiar with Oak Grove. We plant a tree every year on Arbor Day or around Arbor Day to honor someone in the community who's contributed a lot to the community. The problem is if you go there and you look at the trees, you don't know which tree was planted for which person because there's no identifying markers. So we've gotten some, I've gotten some markers. A couple of the members are working on the verbiage for the sign markers. So we're hoping by September probably. There's a sense of urgency with it, but no one seemed to say, I'll do it. But it's going to end up being Fred and I, right, Fred? So we're going to try and get this in by September. And that way, when you go out to the Oak Grove, there'll be a tree with a marker, and you'll know who the tree was dedicated to. So I think that's going to be a nice addition to that grove. It's going to be a nice for people who go out there and walk through it. And then we talked about some other things, Connor might want to jump in on that.
Oh, yeah, I can jump in now, I was gonna address it later. So, there was an issue, so if you remember, I think it was the last meeting we had, we approved the signage for the Wheeler Memorial. That was the Memorial. There's now been a request by the village to have that go through the village's planning board, so it's within the village, but on town property. There's a sense of urgency to get that out. So my question is for John, John, I should have talked to you about this earlier, but it just got right here. Is there a requirement, so as the owner of that property, the town, do we have to go through the village planning board to construct anything on that property?
The short answer is yes.
Okay.
Let me also say that there is a way of negotiating a difference with the village, but from the static I was picking up, they aren't open to that.
That is my impression as well.
They are not.
They are not.
You know, and I think, Connor, you can agree, looking at the work they've done at Depot, the volunteers in that, but Mr. Bueller's dumped a substantial amount of money into rehabbing that and refurbishing it and making it look as good as it is, and it's going to look gorgeous when it's completely done. And I hate to see him feel that maybe there was an issue or something and withdraw from this project. So
He and that foundation have done an incredible job in the Bush Park. We were not, you know, we want to make sure that this gets done as the property owners.
that is all I have, sir.
I don't have anything this evening. I've been asking my questions along the way, so.
Yep, we just covered the sign issue. Our brush czar is not here tonight because it's his birthday, but there has been an update, and Paul, you can comment on this too if you want, but there's been, I think, a really good update to the county's website that covers, it's right there when you first go to the website, what the brush contractor is actually going to pick up. There's a fantastic little button you can click on. It's very publicly accessible. So I invite residents to go check that out, and you know, let Pat know if you have any concerns. And then initially we did have tailgating on the agenda for tonight. I think next week, especially when Pat's here to get his thoughts on it, it's really going to be the week that we address a lot of the tailgating issues that we've been talking about, from vendors, commercial lots, and residential lots. One thing that I outlined last week, and I'll reiterate here, is it's not just a question of the enforcement of the social distancing concerns with the Erie County Department of Health. There's also a question of public safety. If these events are going to be held and they get rowdy, are we going to be able to afford the budget concerns that we have now? Are we going to be able to afford to pay overtime for officers to go out there? And you know, that's something that I'm sure we'll have a fruitful discussion on next week. And I think, based on some of the emails I've received, that there will be a few property owners that want to come and speak in the open session as well. So stay tuned.
All right, I'll make the motion to move into executive session to talk about a personnel issue in engineering and a contract issue.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Question? All
Aye.
in favor? Aye. Seeing there's only two here, I don't have to say anybody opposed, so. Everybody's excused except for me.